Now that we have the base infrastructure in place, we're ready to start. So I'm going to start by going over this section. How is this challenge structured? So you have an idea. So first, you're usually going to see solutions architecture right here, which is something that I've already covered. Following that, we're going to have the getting started section. And this is just to show you everything you need to get access to: AWS account, Cloud9 environment, the templates repo. This is just so you can get yourself ready to start the challenge. Then after that, there's going to be small sections. As you can see here in the table of contents, we're going to have 12 steps, and each one of the steps you're gonna resolve a small piece of the solution. And then for each one of those sections, there are going to be two subsections. One is definition of done, and the other one is for discussion. The definition of done is basically to show you the answer, let's say. So what you should see in your console to make sure that you are on the right track. And then the for discussions, there are going to be some questions, and we're just gonna discuss about it. So without further ado, let's get started. All right, so there's going to be some information because I was writing for the community, but this is the most important thing. So first, you need to access your AWS account, and then Cloud9 environment, and that is if you deploy the Cloud9 environment. If you haven't deployed and you prefer to use your local IDE and local terminal, then just open your local terminal. I'm just gonna go to Cloud9 environment in case someone deployed it as well. So let's do that now. This is my AWS account. Make sure that you are in the build account, not in the target account. So first, let's go to the Cloud9 console. And here you're gonna see something different that is in the challenge. So in the challenge, if we go back, we should see the environment straight away. So right here, you can see Team 1 environment. But the reason why we don't see is probably because you're logged in as an admin user or another user, which is not the one that we launched as part of the base infrastructure template. So let me show you that so it makes sense. So let's go to CloudFormation, and here click on build account base, or whatever the name is that you chose. And then if you go to template, go down to the bottom, to the very last line, it says owner ARN is the ARN of the user that we created with this template. So unless you're logged in as that user, you will not have access to the Cloud9 environment. So here you have three options. Either we log in as that user and we use the environment, or you modify this template and you change the owner of the environment to be yourself, to be your user, or if you're assuming a role to your account, that role. Or the third option is for you to use a local ID, as I mentioned, and a local terminal. I'm just gonna log in as this user, but you can choose any of these three options. So if you prefer to log in as that user as well, let's go to resources, and we need to find the password because it generated a password for us. Let me do this, it's gonna be easier. So the password is gonna be in secret manager, so right here. So let's click on this. And for some reason, it took me to Sydney. I have no clue why. Let me go back to Virginia. Okay, so there we go. So this is the password for the Team 1 user. And let's retrieve secret value. So that's the one. So what I'm going to do now is just to log out from this account and log in as that user. Now let's go back to Cloud9 again. And we should see our environment. If I'm on the right region. There you go. So make sure you're in Virginia, and right here we're gonna see the same interface that we're seeing here in the challenge. So if you got to this part, what you need to do is to click on Open IDE. Let's do that. So now the first step is to clone the repo. Let's go back to the challenge, and we should see. So this is the URL. You can clone this. And right here on the left, we're going to see the pipeline templates. So this is the repo that we just cloned. And after that, we're ready to go. So let's see, the first step here is going to be to create a bucket for the pipeline artifacts. So if I go back to the solutions architecture, you see that there is an S3 bucket, which actually triggers the pipeline whenever you upload some code. So this is basically what we're going to be doing now. So I'm not going to read everything here because there's quite a lot, but this is basically the template that you're given. So pipeline template.yaml. Let's see that. So there is a pipeline folder, template.yaml. So that's the one that you're going to see. Let me increase a little bit. But right now, what we're going to be focusing on is the code pipeline artifacts S3 bucket. So let's go back there and let's find this. So this one right here, right at the beginning, and we're just going to fill out the information based on some requirements. So the first requirement is in regards to the bucket name. So the bucket name should include the name of your team, which is in our case is team 1, using the namespace parameter. So we're not going to hard code anything. We're going to use this parameter in the name. A few keywords like pipeline, artifact, etc., just so you know what the bucket is being used for. And then an account ID at the very end, just to make your bucket a little bit different, the name of the bucket different. Because S3, it's a global service, right? In terms of like the name of the bucket. So if you choose a bucket which already exists, then you won't be able to create it. And this is not just in your account, it's an entire AWS infrastructure. So if me and you would choose the same name of a bucket, one of us will be able to create if it's available, but the other won't. So that's why here at the end we're gonna put the account ID just to make the name unique. So this is an example. So team 100 code pipeline artifacts and then the account number. So this is what we're gonna do. So where you have bucket name, let's replace this. So first is the namespace. So in CloudFormation we can use a function called exclamation sub, and this is to replace a variable. So in this case the name is going to be namespace, which is the parameter, namespace dash code pipeline dash artifacts dash, and then now the account ID. So there is a built-in variable which is AWS all uppercase colon account ID. So this is going to be the name of our bucket. Then the bucket encryption should be AES 256. So where you see server-side encryption algorithm, so this one should be AES 256 and AES should be uppercase. Then we need to enable versioning. So status is going to be enable. Oops, enable. Like that. And then finally, we're going to explicitly block public ACLs, public policy, ignore public ACLs, and restrict public buckets. Okay, so let's go one at a time. So public ACLs, we're gonna block. That's true. We're gonna block public policy, so that's true as well. Ignore, true, and finally restrict, also true. So I think we have everything in place in terms of the properties for the bucket. Now we just need to launch this template. And one thing before we launch, you see that there are more resources here. So this 3 and the pipeline as well. So let's just comment these things out just to make sure the template is not going to fail. So comment it out and make sure you only have S3 bucket here. And now we can pull up our terminal. Let's go to pipeline templates, pipeline. So that's our template.yaml. And we're going to do AWS CloudFormation. And we're going to create a stack. Let's give it a name. So I'm going to call it team1 pipeline. And one thing here, actually, I need to explain is that if you're logged in as a team1 user, that means everything you create, all the resources, you need to start with team1 dash and then something. So you see that our bucket is called team1 dash code pipeline. The name of the stack I'm calling team1 dash pipeline. So every resource you create, you need to prefix with team1. And the reason for that is that when you launch the account base template to set up the build account, there are a bunch of policies in place for that user that would not allow that user to control any resources that don't start with that team, in this case team1 dash something. And just the reason why I did this is because I ran this dojo for multiple teams, and I did not want one team to be using the other team's resources or trying to delete other team's resources. So that's why I locked down that team for only those resources which start with the team name. So if you're using the team1 user, make sure that you're gonna name resources and you use team1 as the prefix. Okay, so that's the stack name, and then next is gonna be the template body. The template body is template.yaml. Don't forget file, and we have one parameter. So parameter key. It's gonna be namespace, comma, parameter value. Gonna be team1. Region is gonna be US East 1. And I think that's it. We don't need any capability because we're not deploying IAM or we're not doing transform. So I think that's everything we need. Okay, let's run this. Here we just got an error which says any properties member must be an object. And the reason why is because I forgot to save the file. I'm used to using an IDE which saves the file for me automatically. So whenever I use Cloud9, I always forget to save. So you hear that this is there's a little circle here, and when you click Control S or Command S if you're on the Mac, it's going to be an X. So that means now it's saved. So let's run it again. Okay, so our stack has been created, and I'm just gonna go back to here and open CloudFormation just to see our stack being created. So we have right here, team1 pipeline is being created. Let's go to events. So let's just wait a couple of seconds for this to create. Okay, so it looks like it's created successfully. And just to make sure that our bucket actually exists, let's go to S3. And we should see our bucket there. So right here, team1, code pipeline, artifacts, and then the account number. So if you can see the bucket here, you're on the right track and you're ready to go to the next step.